President Trump touted U.S. military strength Friday in his commencement speech at the Naval Academy. Mr. Trump told graduates to, quote, strive for excellence and to never stop reaching for the stars. But he focused much of the address on how the U.S. is the chief force for peace and justice in the world.
For we are witnessing the great reawakening of the American spirit and of American might. We have rediscovered our identity, regained our stride, and we're proud again. Prosperity is booming at home. Our economy is the strongest it's ever been. And our country has regained the respect that we used to have long ago abroad. Yes, they're respecting us again. Yes, America is back.
The speech comes after President Trump told reporters his administration is back in touch with North Korea. In a late Friday night tweet, the president confirmed those talks. He also wrote in part, quote, if it does happen, it will likely remain in Singapore on the same date, June 12th, and if necessary, will be extended beyond that date. Here to discuss the White House apparent walkback is Zeke Miller. He's a CBSN political contributor and a White House correspondent for the Associated Press. Zeke, thanks for being with us. The White House seems to be putting the summit back on track. Is the White House changing its mind?
Certainly there's an element of change in tone from the White House in the last 24 hours since that letter from the president to Kim Jong-un to today's comments saying the summit was back on track. I think it's important to realize that, the president that talking to people at the White House, the cancellation of the letter wasn't a true cancellation. It was sort of a part of a negotiating tactic. It was similar to the president's threats always to get up and walk away from the, from any possible deal, similar to Kim Jong-un's threats a couple of weeks ago to cancel the meeting himself. That's the way the president, the people around the president, have always looked at these talks with North Korea. It was going to be a kind of precarious, hard-nosed negotiation. Both of these leaders are kind of mercurial. There's not, there are always going to be bumps and roadblocks and things, and obstacles they were going to have to overcome in this process. So the cancellation itself, wasn't necessarily a one and done. The president said, "Call me," and that's and the change in tone from North Korea has certainly put the summit back at least at the 50-50 column.
Now, Secretary of Defense Mattis called the back and forth between the U.S. and North Korea the, quote, usual give and take. What does he mean by that?
Well, it's not entirely clear. It's the usual give and take in sort of maybe this Trump era, the way, certainly this is the way people expected those talks to go. That said, this is not, this is unusual. We have not seen negotiations carried out like this. We have not seen negotiations start at the leader-to-leader level, essentially, with so much left on. Not agreed to by these two countries that are still technically at war over something as consequential as nuclear weapons. We have not, normally these talks start at the lower level, work their way up through the bureaucratic and diplomatic processes, and then finally the leaders come together and they have the handshake and they announce the sign on the dotted line and the agreement's done. This is going to work in exactly the opposite way with these two leaders. If they actually do sit down and talk to each other, they would agree on maybe a top line and then leave it to their underlings to actually sort out and do the hard work of getting something across the finish line. So it's actually a very unusual situation. Certainly the drama of the last 24, 48, 72 hours maybe is usual for these talks, but this is a very unusual set of circumstances right now.
So, Zeke, the president, when discussing his withdrawal from the summit, told reporters Friday, quote, everybody plays games. So what do you think the White House is trying to achieve with this strategy?
Well, certainly they want to get Kim Jong-un there in person. They want to get him there on their terms. There's a lot of gamesmanship, brinksmanship happening here on both sides. North Korea is claiming that it extended the invitation to the president out of strength. That before the crippling sanctions that the Trump administration and its international allies have put in place weren't the cause as the Trump administration claims. They say they want to be treated as a nuclear power. They want international legitimacy if they're going to discuss giving up their nuclear weapons program. So there's an element here of wanting to define the terms of this conversation, and the president yesterday saying we're trying to get to a yes, and Kim's government just won't pick up the phone and call us, won't answer the phone, won't show up to the meeting. Was an attempt by the administration to say it's their fault that this meeting isn't going to happen, and that certainly led to the change in tone in the last 12 to 24 hours from Kim's government. So there's both sides are trying to define the terms in which they meet, which indicates sort of just how much both sides are vested in this. Kim's government wants, Kim himself wants international legitimacy, recognition, the respect that comes from a sit-down one-on-one with the president of the United States.
Sure.
And for President Trump, this is an opportunity to sort of write his legacy in one meeting. And this is something no foreign leader has, no American president has sat down with a North Korean leader. The opportunity at a nuclear deal and this intractable problem, being able to even make progress, if not solve it entirely, is something that is too good to pass up.
Certainly some head-spinning flip-flopping going on, though. All right, Zeke, switching gears to the ongoing Russia investigation, there are reports that the president's lawyer, Michael Cohen, met with a Russian oligarch in Trump Tower just 11 days before the president's inauguration. What are you hearing about this, and what is significant about it?
What's kind of amazing about that is that they have, with this Michael Cohen meeting, it's just the latest indication of how the Trump campaign, the broader Trump orbit, has been untruthful when it comes to the Russia issue. They've been secretive. They've tried to obfuscate. They've tried to change. They've changed their stories multiple times, only to be caught making misstatements over and over again. If there isn't a there, and we don't know that there's a there, there's certainly an issue with their credibility, and that's certainly what this certainly goes to show is that the Trump campaign, the people around the president have a massive credibility problem, and it's usually around issues about Russia. It certainly comes from a sensitivity because of the accusations against the campaign there, but also if there is a there, and that's something that the special counsel is looking at, that congressional committees on Capitol Hill are looking at, this would be an indication why they're going through an awful lot of effort to not be truthful about meetings that should be very easily documented.
Zeke Miller in Washington, thank you.
Thank you.